August, we are here with Cole Sager. We're here in Salt Lake City, actually here in Park City.
We're in Park City.
And we're gonna kind of do an interview. So I'm gonna interview Cole, and this is probably gonna go on either my channel or your channel. We'll figure it out.
This one will probably, my interview will go on your channel, and my interview of you will go on my channel.
Yeah, so we're trying to cross promote, so it's gonna be really cool. So I got some questions that I got from you guys. So I got some questions I got from you guys that we're gonna kind of cover, maybe some random questions for Cole Sager, but also kind of break it down to kind of a faith, family, and fitness. And kind of the goal I want to do here is you see Cole compete, and you might meet Cole or have the ability to meet Cole or know Cole being his friend, but I want you to, my goal is to get you to know the Cole I know, and that's the Cole that wants to impact the world. Mm-hmm. You might see him compete and think, man, that guy's so awesome, like he's such a fast runner, he's such a fast sprinter, he's so good at these abilities, these events, the games, but I want you to get you to know someone, the Cole behind the Cole, like the idea of the guy who loves the CrossFit Games but wants to change the world that may involve CrossFit or may not involve CrossFit. Yeah. So without further ado, we're gonna jump into some questions.
Let's do this.
All right, first of all, who is Cole Sager? So some random questions. What's your college degree? Like, where'd you come from?
Yeah, so I went to the school at the University of Washington, and I got a bachelor's degree in communications with a certification in marketing and sales, or essentially a concentration in marketing and sales, which actually led me into a sales job right out of college, and that was that's a fun story. But yeah, I ended up being a mortgage broker right out of college with that. But yeah, communications degree then.
Okay, so you were a mortgage broker.
Yeah.
So would you consider yourself to have the most boringest previous job in CrossFit?
Yeah. I don't know if maybe there's like a tech thing that might be more boring. I'm not really sure.
Touche.
I think that at the end, if I was an underwriter for a brokerage, that might be more boring because the mortgage broker, we actually get to interact with people because you're still in sales, right? So you get to go hang out and have meetings and get to know your customers and whatnot. So because of that, I get face-to-face time with clients. So it wasn't like I was just sitting at a desk every single day, but at the same time, every single day I was
people.
Yeah,
social.
Yeah, so cool. Still got to be social.
So the communication actually makes sense. I didn't know you mentioned communication. It actually makes sense because I've heard you speak over the past couple of days, and you're very. One of my wife used. My wife said you were very articulate in the way you spoke, and it was really cool. And that makes sense that you communications. And your wife told us a story about how she actually saw you in a communications class and how you had you were enrapturing. That's another great word, enrapturing your whole class with a speech.
Yeah. It was amazing. So I was taking a public speaking class. I think it was my junior year of college, and Genesee and I had just started dating, and she came up to visit me. So she was on campus, and we had to go for our class. We had to give, I think it was our final presentation, our final speech for the public speaking class. We had to give a speech in Red Square. So if you think of UW's campus, the big centerpiece of the campus is just this massive red brick just everywhere and beautiful buildings that surround. But almost every single person who has to get onto campus has to almost cross through this place at some point in time. And right in the middle, there's this little platform or pedestal, not for speaking, but it stands out. It's where people will go sit and whatnot. And to get you outside your comfort zone, the public speaking class makes you go stand on that and give a speech.
And what did you speak on?
For everyone here. We had our choice, and mine was about the impact of fighting obesity and whatnot. And anyways, we had the luxury to give whatever twist and spice we wanted to our speeches, and most people give a very nice 3-point presentation, and they're well spoken, but it's a little cold, a little dry most of the time. But they're practicing the points that were laid out in the class. Yeah. I'm just a passionate dude, so because I was so passionate, Genesee, I got up there, and there was about three or four other people who had gone before me, and like you said, kind of cold, kind of dry, and it's totally fine. They gave great presentations. But Genesee didn't really expect to see me just all of a sudden just open up, and when she got done, I think she likened it to you kind of looked like a lion on the prowl when you were up there.
She said that yesterday. She said you look like a lion.
Yeah, cool. She was just oh dang.
So knowing that you're a good communicator, we had talked a couple weeks ago and a couple months ago when I first decided maybe to possibly quit my job, and I'd asked you what do you want to do in life after you're done with CrossFit? And some of these aren't even questions people ask. I'm just kind of trying to hold the conversation.
This is great.
And knowing you're a good communicator, now that I know more about you, what is something you want to do when you're done with CrossFit? Now that I know you're a great communicator, what is your goal?
So my whole goal, career goal, is to be a motivational public speaker. I want to inspire and change the trajectory of people's lives. I think that there is something powerful about speech, and I think there's something powerful about interpersonal communication, and that's something that I want to use. I feel like I have at least a skill set or a gifting in, and I want to be able to use that to impact people. I think blogs are great, I think the internet is great, but there's something about being face to face or just hearing somebody, feeling somebody's passion, that can really change and shift your perspective on the world, and that's something that I want to lean into. And it's why I got into the CrossFit space in the first place, is to build a platform in order to reach people. As we grow and as we develop through this process, I think we're all starting to feel like, oh wow, like our platforms have grown.
Yeah, sure.
And now, and maybe for you too, I'm starting to ask myself that question: is how can I start to use this platform to serve? So, yeah, it's a fun stage of life right now.
Cool. Okay, so a couple good serious questions. That was awesome. Cool. You're obviously, I would consider you somewhat of a coffee snob. Okay,
Coffee snob?
Coffee snob. Yeah. So obviously you probably don't go buy Folgers coffee at Walmart and drink it. Okay.
Hard no.
Okay. So someone asked a question: who makes better coffee, you or Matt Frazier?
Ooh, that's a really tough one. So, because I'm a little bit of a coffee snob, it's hard to compare because he makes a different style of coffee than I do.
I did not know that.
Yes, exactly. So Matt is very espresso shot based.
Okay.
He does a lot of espresso shots. That's not something that I'm very well versed in.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole nother language when you're starting to get into pulling a good espresso shot, because there's so many things that go into it, from pressure and water temperature and timing, and just a lot of things that I haven't really gotten into. I'm more in the artisan coffee.
Okay.
Pour over, Chemex, AeroPress, kind of like the artisan handmade coffee, if you will.
Yeah. So does Genesee also make coffee, or is that kind of like a you thing?
That's a me thing.
Does she drink coffee though?
Genesee does drink coffee,
right.
but only because I make it for her.
Oh, okay.
she might be at the point now where she's appreciated enough that she'll figure it out.
Does she think it's sexy on you that you make coffee?
I think so, because I see her watching me every once in a while when I make it.
I need quiet in the crowd.
You quiet, please. I just know that it's what it started off as is the reason why I make her coffee every day. Is I started asking myself a question, and I'm the guy that I try to find a purpose for everything I do in life. I don't want to live life on accident ever. And I started asking myself, what's one thing that I know I could do every single morning to get outside myself and serve someone first. And the first person I come in contact with every single day is my wife.
Sure.
And so how can I find a way to serve her or to give something back to her, even if it's just as simple as making a cup of coffee. So that's where that started, me making her coffee every day.
So you make your wife coffee, I make my wife an egg and I put it in the microwave. So when she wakes up, she opens the microwave and there's one egg sitting there. If there's not an egg sitting there, it's a bad start to it.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's the little things.
It's the small things.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit of I want to pay that back to her. She sacrifices so much and gives so much to me all the time. So if I can make her a cup of coffee and brighten her morning, it's perfect.
Cool, okay. One good question I've noticed this, and people have also brought up to me, is you don't wear grips. I mean, you do wear grips, but a lot of times when you're training, you do not wear grips. And one of my grips is something to cover your protect your hands.
Yep.
So why is that?
Yeah, because I realized that the more I leaned into building calluses, the more versatile my hands are. I will put grips on from time to time if I have a very high rep workout, like Mary at the games. Murph, I probably wouldn't, believe it or not. But Mary, when you are getting there's so much time under tension on the pull-ups and it's being repeated over and over and over again, that has the potential to really rip off calluses, heat them up, and that's the big thing. Is I have to be conscious of it's going to heat up the calluses, because if that does, it starts to separate from the lower skin, and that's when you get the whole thing torn off. But again, it's just the idea of I want to have less to think about and less to focus on. And if my hands are prepared in a way to just be able to go do anything at any point in time, I would rather that than have to worry about oh shoot, I forgot my grips, where are my grips, and now this workout, and then now all of a sudden I'm thinking about the grips, and I'm not thinking about what I can do in this workout. And so
So the bar muscle up sled workout games.
Yeah.
Grips or no?
no grips.
No grips.
No grips. And the no grips, I tore a little. But this is the thing, is because I've worked so hard on building such a deep callus base. When I tore, it only tore the top layer off, and the layer below that callus was like brand new, fresh skin that was already hardened. So there was no sensitivity to it, and there was nothing. So I tossed on grips for the next event, which was Mary in the games, but I didn't tear anymore. I didn't bleed anymore. There was nothing. It was just like having normal skin there.
So this is not a new question for people. It's actually the way I've watched. So when we went to the gym yesterday, you had a very small bag, where I have a very big bag. Now, I just bring everything. I just put everything in a bag.
Yeah.
I pack like a mule. Okay. And so I also noticed, like, you don't, no belt, no sleeves. Are you using the same kind of concept for grips that you're using for belt and sleeves? Like, I want to be able to, if I'm called upon to run or called upon to lift something, I don't want to have to depend on, let me get my knee sleeves. Is it the same kind of thought process?
Yeah, totally. And for here, like, obviously our intent when we're here at the retreat was to be a little bit more here at the retreat.
Sure.
So I didn't pack a lot of gym equipment, but even at home I pack a very small bag, and I have the essentials. It really is all it is. Like, I will have belt, I will have a knee sleeve, I'll bring the lifters, but there's not a lot of other knickknacks that I don't really need. And it just goes back to that less is more for me, because I can have more mental space to be able to just focus on the task at hand, essentially. But that doesn't take away from the fact that, like, I do feel like there's a little bit of responsibility needed, and so I cover my bases by having the bare essentials that I need in order to do anything. Like you said, if I'm ever called upon, I like to lift or work out in a very versatile shoe. Can I lift in it? Can I run in it? Can I jump in it?
Yeah.
So it's like the more versatile the shoe, the better for me.
Yeah. And probably helped out because, like, this year when we had to snatch on turf, it was difficult.
Exactly.
And I mean, like, some guys, I know probably a few guys can't full snatch and without having lifters on, running in lifters and doing both with climbs and lifters.
Exactly. Especially on turf, and 185 wasn't a light barbell for that many reps.
Yeah.
So exactly.
Yeah. Okay, what was the hardest thing you had to learn, like the hardest skill or thing you had to learn? Not like I had to learn mental toughness, but maybe like I had to learn like a movement.
Totally. Muscle ups. And it's
Muscle ups.
It's also to answer the question for anybody who is asking what's your favorite movement or skill, it's also my favorite skill in CrossFit. And the reason why is because I got done with football. I was 235 pounds my senior year of football. And I was playing fullback for the University of Washington. And when I finished football, I made the decision, I want to go do CrossFit. I'm an all or nothing. I'm all in. I don't want my heart to be split in two different directions. So it was like, I'm playing football or I'm doing CrossFit. I chose CrossFit and I went that direction. So I was like, okay, I'm a big dude. I'm a football player. I don't have good mobility. Like, you should have seen my overhead position and my overhead mobility when I got done playing ball. I was like stiff shoulders, everything's internally rotated. Traps are up to your neck. I didn't have a neck. It's like my
dress shirts,
my cheeks and my trap. Like,
to clarify, I actually would have liked to have seen you be a mortgage broker and put on a polo or a button-up shirt, because I'm sure you looked so jacked. Actually, have you seen The Incredibles where the guys like hunched over in the That's what I imagine. You're like a mortgage broker.
And like, you're right, like the posture was like so perfect the whole entire time.
So anyways, muscle ups.
Yeah, so when I got done with ball, the one thing that I realized I needed to put the most focus in is the most unfamiliar position that I could possibly be in, and that was muscle ups. Okay. I was not built or like made to be swinging up on rings. The way I saw myself at that point in life is like, I was made to hit people, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm a football player, I'm a fullback at that point, like, I'm a headbanger. Yeah. And so I spent a lot of time at 230, 220, 215 pounds. And, I think my first year I competed at like maybe 210. And I spent a lot of time just getting down and understanding, breaking down the movement as a big guy, and how can I do this the most efficient way as possible. Because I'm so big, I have to find an efficient technique or else I'm not going to be capable. And because of that, I'm now confident enough in that movement to go toe-to-toe with anybody in the space, because I feel so efficient at the movement, and that's why I enjoy it.
Yeah,
so
you've also done a couple good videos on like your trips, and that makes more sense now that I know that the hardest movement that you have overcome is also the movement you're most proud of. That's what exactly. That's cool. All right. So favorite guilty pleasure, and so like for instance, hypothetically, it'd be like I love watching The Notebook. Like legit, I love Nicholas Sparks books. So like favorite.
Do you really like The
Oh
Notebook?
yeah, The Notebook is one of my all-time favorites.
I love The
It's
Notebook.
all-time favorite.
I love it. I've probably seen
We
it
just
like.
become fast friends.
I'm a bird.
Stop it. Stop it now.
Yep.
Yeah, but like any love movie by Nicholas Sparks has been turned into a movie. Absolutely greatest movies on the planet.
Oh my gosh, like we're like so.
So I
vibing
can't just
right now.
answer the question for you. Like, so okay, what's your favorite guilty pleasure? Do you have a favorite movie? Is it a favorite thing you like to do?
Like, you know, guilty pleasure. I mean, it's my first thing goes to like desserts. I don't know. I don't know if
that's true.
good
That's
enough.
fine too.
Yeah, you know, but I love romance movies. So like,
Yeah.
I mean, now that you said that, like,
So some top 3 romance movies. So people who haven't watched at home know what they need to. If they want to connect with Cole Sager, what should they watch?
Probably because they're just the most recent. Well, Notebook is up there, so that would definitely be in the top
Notebook.
3. I'm not going to put it as number 1, but it's
Okay.
definitely in the top 3.
Okay.
Theory of Everything.
I have never seen that.
Theory of Everything.
Is it new?
It's about Stephen Hawking's,
Okay.
and it's his. So he has a brilliant mind, but it's about his love story behind the brilliant mind.
Okay.
Definitely check that one out.
Okay. It's on my list.
And then we just watched it. I gotta admit, we watched it and we finished this movie, and I didn't cry at all during the movie.
But then you did.
But once the credits started and I thought about this movie for a little bit, I had like this like emotional awakening or breakdown. I don't really know what it was, but I just started sobbing for like 10 minutes.
Was Genesee next to you?
She was. And she just kind of like rubbed my thigh and it was like,
What was the movie called now?
About Time.
Um,
About Time. It's,
Yes, that is the movie that with the really nerdy kid and Rachel McAdams.
Rachel McAdams. Yes.
Yes, we just watched that last
Yes.
week. One of the greatest movies that's underrated. You know what the funny part is? We watched that Friday night at the games.
No kidding.
No joke.
No way.
I've seen it before, but I decided on Netflix, I was like, I want to watch
Yeah.
a good, wholesome,
Yeah.
make me smile movie. It's a great movie.
I had never heard about it. I watched it and I was like, this has been so underrated. Like, I don't know how everybody's not talking about this movie. It moved me. It honestly moved me. Like, I'm not afraid to say that. Like,
Yeah, the ending
was-
where it was like you want to live every day and live every day. Yeah, it was a great.
100%. Yeah. So
That's
check
so
it out.
funny.
Yeah.
And we watched it at the game. It's
That's
great.
so good.
Okay, favorite ab workout.
Favorite.
I know, I didn't. This is my question.
I love this. This is funny. It's an ab routine.
Okay.
Ab Ripper X from P90X.
No! Did you do it in college?
Like, I have it memorized. Like as I'm going through it, I could tell you like every single nuance of Tony Horton's voice. Like,
Ripper.
you know, it's like I have done that so many times. It's not even funny.
Okay, so at one point, we need you to just lead a group by memory through ab. That would be probably
That
the,
would be the greatest thing.
the best video I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah.
I'm so glad whoever said it.
Yeah.
I thought I was like, that's a stupid question, but I'm so glad.
No,
I asked
ab
that.
Ripper X, baby.
All right, so that was sad. Okay, so I know you have a really long story behind it, and so obviously, maybe shorten it a little bit. How did you meet your wife?
Oh, jeez.
I know. Maybe it's another. If it's another video for later,
yeah.
we can always cut it out and do it some other time.
you know, it's actually a video that I would love to do, even on my channel. I want to go into the backstory of it for people sometimes. I get that question a lot.
And let's say, why don't you
yeah.
do it on your channel and do it yourself?
Well, no. I mean, I can
Okay.
talk about it. You know, at the end of the day, we had a friend who was very persistent about setting us up. Genesee was going to school in a different state. She was going to school in Utah, here, just like 25 minutes north of here. And I was at UW. Her friend from high school was my roommate, and they went to school in Spokane. And he essentially was like, look, you have to meet this girl, and she needs to meet you because you guys would be so good together. And he, like, the way that I tell the story is like, he was like, look, you're a goody goody, she's a goody goody. You guys can just be goody goodies together and just like make the world better. Like, please, will you just? And you know, I can get into the nuances and the depth of just like how like some of the past relationships I had and just kind of the struggle through that. And that's for another day.
Sure.
But essentially, what you know, the long story short, I ended up going to visit my roommate in Spokane. She happened to be home for the summer. And she hung out with us that whole entire weekend mostly because it was his mission to set us up. So he invited her to every single thing that we did, and I was totally fine with it. But at that point, I was also like anti-girl.
So you want some bro time?
Yeah, I wanted some bro time, and the girls were the farthest thing on my mind. Like I had none on my radar.
That's funny. That's what Adrian told me too. He said you were really kind of football at that time.
Yeah, totally. And I had, again, like past relationships had kind of been, a little bit burned. So I was just like, like I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna focus. And by the end of the weekend, I left the weekend just thinking, I can't leave here and not be with this girl. I have to. And so that's when we started. Like, hey, do you want to try this long distance thing? And
the first date.
What was our first?
What was your first date?
Oh shoot!
Will she have a different answer than you?
Yeah, 100%. Because I'm not even it would have been. I'm trying to remember who came up to who first. If I came.
Oh, that's also a great question.
Yeah. So I think she came up to a football game.
Your game.
Yeah.
Did your friend play?
So yeah, he was a long snapper on the team.
Okay.
So that's how we got roomed up together our freshman year, and we went to college together as roommates. But that would have been what it was. She would have come up and visited me because we started dating. I went back to school. We started dating. I drove away, like within the hour.
Oh.
Hey, do you want to start dating? Okay, sweet. I drive off in the night. That's exactly how it went. And then I drove back over, and training camp started. So I was on lockdown for 30 days when we first started dating. Skype calls like every night kind of thing. But then she came to a football game. And that's when, after the football game, we drove up to my hometown, which is like an hour and a half away, and hung out with my family and whatnot. So, like, our first date probably really wasn't.
She met your family on your first date?
On her first time coming up and seeing everyone, absolutely.
You knew what you wanted.
Yeah, no, honestly, we had that conversation when we did start dating. I was like, look, I'm not dating to break up. I'm no longer in that place. I feel like you're an extremely special human being, and you're the kind of person that I want to pursue a married life with. And I laid that out in front of her in like the first 15 minutes of agreeing, like, yeah, let's date,
That's a cool concept. I think a lot of people today look at dating and think, oh, I'm just gonna date around and figure out what I want. And you already knew what you wanted. It was the idea of I'm dating with the purpose, with the goal, the end state of being marriage, which is a cool concept.
Exactly.
Yeah. So your parents raised you so right. Cool.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, so expound on, and we talked about this when we were running, but expound on, for those who kind of follow you, like Marriage Monday. What is Marriage Monday? What's the purpose behind it? Like, it's really cool, but maybe people don't know why.
Yeah, so Marriage Monday is very much inspired by just having somebody who had, like, recognizing somebody who has sacrificed so much for me and pointing out how we can continue to better relationships. And I talked about this in the beginning of our interview, just like how strong interpersonal communications and relationships can be and how moving and impactful they can be. And I see a lot of people going through life struggling and down on themselves, but I'm also seeing them not having strong relationships with the people around them. And I think that strong relationship with the people around them can really pull them out of some dark situations. And I've gotten to experience that with my spouse. And marriage is something that is so sacred to me. Honestly, it is a sacred thing. It's a biblical thing, and being a Christian man, it means something, and it weighs heavily on me. My vows were not cute words. My vows were something that were spoken from the soul.
And you wrote your own vows, I'm assuming.
We actually had a friend who was our officiator. He kind of helped write the vows, and then so repeat, yes and no, but repeat them back. But he kind of twisted them in like how I know you guys and see your relationship.
Cool.
So anyways, so through that, Marriage Monday essentially was inspired by like, I want to point out all the sacrifices and things that have made this marriage and this relationship so beautiful, and hopefully just inspire some people in the way that they act and treat their spouse. And then as well as, maybe some of the other relationships in their lives that they can just pour themselves into a little bit better.
And this is a question from me, actually. So, I know you've gone through some books with your wife, books like related to the Bible, usually. What is your top book? For those like who are watching and thinking, man, I'd love to go through a book to help or strengthen my marriage, what is your number one or top book for that?
Yeah, together we read through some Proverbs,
Okay.
And that was super helpful. But one of the best books that we
non-Bible.
Yeah, was from Timothy Keller. I think it was called The Meaning of Marriage.
Okay.
By Timothy Keller, and it was just a beautiful book, essentially talking about the importance behind the bond of two people coming together as one flesh. And it was just a really good, beautiful book to walk together through.
Cool. All right, so faith.
Yeah.
Was it did your parents lead you there? Was you self-led yourself in the beginning?
Yeah.
And obviously at some point you made it your own. I understand that. But like in the beginning, for me it was my parents that led me there.
Yeah.
So is that your parents or you?
Yeah. So my parents gave me complete freedom when I was about 11, 12 years old. They had been going to church. They chose to live a Christian life and have a bold faith. Honestly, both of them are very diligent in their faith. You know, something beautiful to witness as a young child. Both of them looked at us at one point. All of us. I have two brothers. So the three of us at one point in our lives and said, "Look, faith." Our faith was not something that was pressed upon us. It was something that we had to find ourselves, and we believe that it is only as strong as it is because we had to go through something and find it ourselves. My mom didn't come to find faith or have a faith until like late 20s, and she had to go through a lot of hardship, and that's really what opened her eyes and how she found God in the first place. And so she was just adamant, like, look, I can't press you into this. It's like, what good is that? So you've seen it, now it has to be your choice. And so around 12 years old, I got that freedom, and it was something that was just on my heart, and I was so intrigued by it, and watching adults who had a strong faith, not a religious faith, not somebody who just walked in accordance of a set of rules, but I'm talking people who were extremely kind, who talked to children as if they really cared about what was going on in that kid's mind and their soul. And getting to see and witness those individuals intrigued me. And so then I wanted to understand that a little bit more. And at that point, I just felt like my heart kept getting pulled on, getting tugged on. And it was this slow process of just being refined a little bit. And I believe that the Bible talks about, God choosing you in a sense. And at some point, He gives you the gift of faith. And I really felt that in my life. I felt like I had kind of seen some pretty dark things right around 12 and 13 with some friends who were already starting to get into alcohol and a little bit of drug use and stuff, and a lot of sex and pornography and different things like that. And so to be at this place where I didn't have an interest in stepping over that line and joining them, but I wanted to be there with them and love on them and hopefully be a light. I didn't understand it at the time, but I could feel God just working in my heart there, so yeah.
Okay. All right, I have two final questions I really want to go over. One's still more serious, and the second one we're going to talk about your hair. So number one, I want to talk about I've seen it before, and for those of you people who don't know, what's the Impact Project? What is that?
Yeah. So the Impact Project was something I started a little bit ago, and something I'll continue to build out. But the long and the short of the Impact Project is just my mission to challenge people to continue to grow and challenge themselves in every area that they can so that they can be better and better serve the world around them. And the way that I like to essentially explain it is, I think I mentioned this before, but essentially I think that everybody at the end of their life in some way is going to ask themselves, did I make a difference? Did I impact the world around me? I think you said at one point, did I leave a legacy?
Exactly.
And what my challenge to people is at the end of the day, or at the end of your life, and you look back, it's not about did I make an impact, because that can be so subjective. But really what I think is that your impact is truly going to come from the moments that you live every single day, every single moment, day to day, moment to moment, how you live those out, how you wear adversity, how you face challenges, how you wear success. Like all of those things, and then as well as like how did I grow? How did I challenge myself? Did I grow physically? Did I grow emotionally, spiritually, relationally? And my challenge to people is, and the slogan of the Impact Project is, be kind, work hard, be the impact. And I think that the impact that we all have in life is really more built around what we do moment to moment, day to day, and that is being the impact every moment that we can. We are the impact. We make the impact. So my challenge to people is be that impact.
And that makes sense because one of your favorite movies is About Time.
About
and at
Time.
the end of the movie, that was the son's idea was, hey, every day live it like this is it.
Yeah, find the beauty in every moment.
Yeah, and I think it's actually a quote from the movie.
Yeah.
So he might get a tattoo in his body. Who knows? So, yeah.
Totally.
All right. So last question is: people look at you in a Quake Cole Sager with short hair,
Yeah.
but you haven't always had short hair.
No, I have not.
So tell us about what it might have looked like when you were younger.
When I started off as a child, because of my father's, now I'm putting this on my, it was my father's.
This is placing blame.
I didn't have a choice. I wore a mullet most of my life, and I was pretty short.
Define most.
Like up until I think the 4th or 5th grade, and it was like a strong one where you could put it in a ponytail.
Did you get made fun of?
Yeah.
So his slogan is "Be kind" because people weren't very kind to Cole.
No, so I think I was mullet to like the 4th or 5th grade, and I went to a bowl cut for a year.
Okay.
And
It's okay.
It's like it was more of a traditional, but the problem is I also had like leopard spotting in the bowl cut, like little spots of bleach, so like I looked like a leopard head, which led into my my most proud phase. And that was the Abercrombie phase. And like I'm talking like Hollister Abercrombie shirt with the puka shell necklace.
Okay, so
spiked hair and frosted tips.
okay, so what you're thinking is, oh well, puka shells, highlighted spiky tips, frosted tips. Those are cool. Like if you live in California, the beach, and you surf every day.
Yeah.
But unfortunately,
I lived in a farm town. it was like it didn't fit. It did not fit at all. It's just like I got that. I definitely got made fun of.
Oh,
and it's like
gosh.
the puka shell necklace wasn't like the kind that like was like relaxed and whatnot.
It was
I
tight.
had a big neck.
you had a choker on.
I had a choker. It was a rough season.
All right, so final thoughts, parting thoughts for maybe something we didn't cover or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, no, I just want to say thank you for letting me be heard, be known on your space. You know, it's fun to get to share our stories, and that's one of the things that I think is important for all of us to just take a moment and get to know the people around us, because I think that every single person on this planet has something inspiring about their story. And if we're just willing to listen to that and find out, you never know what gold, what gems we can pull out for that. So I just want to thank you for that, and challenge people on all of our channels to do the same thing. Go out there and be the impact, listen to people's stories, get to know people, because I think that in that we're really going to change the world and impact people's lives.
Yeah, because behind every short-haired athletic guy is a puka shell wearing, frosted tips, super still nice guy. All right, guys, Cole Sager. Thanks, Cole.